Hey guys, it's Kuma. Today I'm bringing you another Keybindings video, and today we will be taking a look at the switch axe and how we can make this weapon feel better to play on mouse and keyboard. This is not a guide on how to play the switch axe, but instead use it as a starting point to make the weapon feel as comfortable as possible as you begin to learn it. So just like in my other videos, I play a few hunts with the default buttons, and anything odd or weird that I notice I take note of, and then I go into the training area to mess around with the keybinds. Once I find some comfortable buttons, I make this video and share with you guys my reasonings for these button changes. This is my first time on switch axe, so making this weapon feel extremely comfortable for me to play is my priority before I begin to look up guides and videos on how to play this weapon. Hopefully my changes make sense for all of you guys as well. Let's begin. Just like with my other weapon keybinds, I first open the weapon configurations menu and see what I am working with. With the switch axe, we have a lot of simultaneous actions that we have no keybinds for. For consistency with my other weapons, the first changes I make are my own personal preference, so there's no need for you to copy this part, but I do like to use Alt to bring up my item display so that I can free up the V key as a possible button for one of my simultaneous actions. So scroll down to item display and change that from V to Alt, and then scroll back up to focus mode toggle and delete Alt from that key binding to get rid of that conflicting keybind notification. The next thing I do is go one by one through all of our buttons to see what they do, and if they feel easy to press, I leave them without a keybind. If they feel awkward, I assign them a single button to make life easier for us. Let's start with our guard special weapon action right trigger ability. This is our morphing ability. When you are stationary, pressing the R key will morph your weapon from axe mode to sword mode and vice versa. At first this seems like a good button for our morph, but you can also press this button while moving to execute a morph slash. Now while moving, this button becomes awkward for us. Let me explain why. Morph slash while moving forward with W is easy to execute. Press W with your middle finger and then reach with your index finger to press the R key. It's also just as easy to morph slash while moving to the left and while moving backwards. But when moving to the right, your index finger is already holding down the D key, and now, having to press the R key to morph slash can feel a bit awkward. So we are going to change our morph to a button on our mouse so that we can freely morph slash in all directions without ever having to let go of any of our movement keys. So open up your weapon configurations and change your guard special weapon action from R to mouse button 4 and delete the conflicting keybind down below. So let's take a look at the simultaneous action we just deleted. By default, without any keybinds, you just press left click and right click at the same time in order to pull off that action. In axe mode, it executes offset rising slash. In sword mode, this is our elemental discharge. Left click and right click could be good to leave this as is, but this move is pretty important to us because it's also our offset attack. I find it way easier to react and counter a monster's attack with just one button rather than pressing two at the same time. Since we have that R key free now, I do believe that R is a great button for our offset and elemental discharge. Normally we will be facing the monster when we are about to perform an offset attack, so tapping R to execute this move does not interfere with our movement, since we will be normally offsetting in front of us. In sword mode, elemental discharge forces us to stay still while our weapon does its ability, so no need to use movement here. Once we tap R, we only need to mash our left click to discharge our weapon. So open up weapon configurations and set your simultaneous action Y plus B to the R key. Now we have 4 more simultaneous actions to look at, so let's see what they do. First, let's go over RT plus Y. For experimentation, I'm setting this to V for now to see what it does. In axe mode, it looks like all it does is morph into sword mode. But in sword mode, it executes counter rising slash. So just like our offset attack, I do believe having counter rising slash on one button makes it easier to react and counter a monster's attack. V is the perfect button for this, so I'm leaving this one on V. Now let's take a look at our next simultaneous action, RT plus B. This only gives us an ability while in sword form, and it can only be done while in the middle of any combo or immediately after any left click or right click attack from our sword. This ability is called the overhead morph slash. With the keybindings we have so far, it's a combination of mouse button 4 plus right click. This is super easy to press and isn't used as often, so I don't believe we need a singular key binding button for this move. Next we have our RT plus A. The simultaneous action does nothing. I tried it on my controller as well in both axe and sword form, while stationary, while moving, and while attacking, and it literally did not do anything, so we can skip this. Finally, we're on our last simultaneous action, RT plus Y plus B. The simultaneous action can only be done in sword mode and requires us to press 3 buttons at the same time. With our current key bindings, it's mouse button 4 plus left click plus right click all at the same time. So we have a couple of options for this, and I'll also provide you guys with an alternative solution. For me, this move is something I only use when I've reached the amp state and I have my gauge full in sword mode. I do not mind leaving this as 3 buttons to press since I won't be using it as often as my other skills like my offset attack or counters. But here are some alternatives for you guys. Z is a button that is free for us to use and not that hard for us to reach. It's where I'm setting mine to as of right now for this simultaneous action, and I'll be testing it if I prefer pressing 1 button or 3 buttons all at once for this attack in my future hunts. Another option is the R key we had earlier. We can remove that from our simultaneous action Y plus B and just use R for this simultaneous action instead. That way we only have to press R to execute these 3 buttons at once. And for some of you, it might be more comfortable to reach for the R key than the Z key. It's also weird that we don't get a conflicting keybind when we put R as our Y plus B ability, but when we put R as our RT plus Y plus B ability, we get a conflicting keybind. So scroll down to Mounted Monster Controls and change your weapon attack from R to F. Whenever you do mount a monster and create a wound, you can use your weapon finisher. By default it is the R key, but now with our current keybinds we can just use F and think of F as in finisher. We don't mount monsters often with this weapon, so this change isn't a big deal. But now our simultaneous action for Y plus B doesn't have a button, but you can just press left click and right click at the same time to execute your offset attack or elemental discharge. 2 buttons at the same time to press is way easier than pressing 3 at once. Lastly, focus mode on toggle or on hold. This weapon really only has 1 attack to do while in focus mode, so I feel like there's no need to set it on a toggle. We hold down our mouse button 5, aim our weapon, and press shift to execute our focus strike. To keep consistency with my other weapons, I'm leaving this as is. Now with that out of the way, our key bindings have been set and this weapon is ready to go for us to start learning. If you guys go to other guides that teach you how to use this weapon and they're using controller buttons, just know that for us, Y or triangle is left click, B or circle is right click, and right trigger is mouse button 4 with our current setup. I've been doing more hunts with this weapon using these buttons and I'm having a literal blast using the switch axe. Thank you guys for motivating me to keep making these videos for you all. I've hit 300 subs in my first month of giving YouTube a try and I wish I could have started this sooner. You've all been awesome with your feedback and I hope to keep bringing you guys more quality content in the future. Thank you everyone, take care.